Hello and welcome to the Publish You podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. Today we are talking to James Hodson from France, who has written a book called Stop and Listen. James, welcome. It's great to have you join us.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
And whereabouts in France are you? That's what we all want to know. In the mountains somewhere?
We are way up in the mountains. It's called the High Alps region. I always find that the best things you get in life are high up on the mountains. So that's why I would place
Boom.
it.
And what do you do on the mountains? Are you kind of skiing and walking, or retirement, or are you running a business? What's it all about?
We've done a variety of things. We came here initially just to be part of the French, if you like, part of the community here. But we developed into running a number of businesses here, mostly to do with snow, would you believe, being in the Alps, skiing, transport, and things. So yeah, it's been in the tourist sector, but it was a way we could get to know a lot of the locals, a lot of the people around here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and ironically, we found we've got to know more people around the world living up a mountain than we have anywhere else.
What a great strategy. Make lots of international friends, run a holiday resort in the French Alps. There's the answer. So, James, you've become a globally published author, but not in one language, in two languages. So, your book is live on Amazon in English and in French. So, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a dream, really, because a long time I felt I should be doing this, and I've slowly removed myself from the business day to day just to get on with writing. So yeah,
Yeah.
very glad we've got to this place.
Yeah, and when did you first have the thought that you'd like to write a book, James?
Um, Writing's been there for a long time, but sort of two things coincided. One was realizing some of the simplicity of life I think you discover in the mountains,
Yeah,
which is just awesome. Often gets missed out by the noise, if you like, of life that people from the cities or from urban areas seem to get. And I really felt a passion to write a book just to address this, which is where Stop and Listen comes in.
yeah. And the other thing, you said there were two things?
I said two things. Well, the I think writing I've always enjoyed doing
Yeah,
and whatnot, but a complete muddle in life and a complete obsession, I guess, with things to do and places to go and people to see has stopped it happening. So I
yeah.
really needed that leg up just to come on, focus, concentrate, and get on with it. So.
That was meeting me, I guess.
Exactly that. It was a chance meeting at a conference a year ago.
Yeah, in
And I
Annecy,
think
wasn't it? In France. It's
that's
beautiful.
right. It was. It was. Yes. And particularly listening to you in English and hearing you translated in French, which was nothing like what you said, but it was good anyway. Um, was no, it was a real inspiration to this is going to help me focus and do what I feel I should do.
Yeah, yeah. So, what was it about the Publish You Writing My Book program that really helped you? What were the one or two things that really made the difference for you in getting your book done?
I think it was the well, two things again. I'll go back to two things. Well, but mainly the
Yes.
community feel of it. The other authors who are going through a similar process, and with that comes an accountability.
Yeah.
A sense we're all doing this together. The guy who was leading the course, Matt Bird, was encouraging us. How many words have you written this week? Have you done this? Have you got through that thing? Which is the second part. Obviously, the wisdom and experience that Publish You have was extremely helpful. But
Yeah.
putting it into the context of a group of people, I think,
Yeah.
is very special,
Yeah.
and it really gives you that energy to move forward. Certainly, I
Yeah.
found so.
Wonderful. People often think that to write a book, you need to, go off into the mountains. That's not a link, but it does link. And on your own for a few months, and write your book. But actually, nothing could be further from the truth, because, like most things in life, it's best achieved in community. And actually being in a community with other authors. I mean, you had your cake and ate it, didn't you? Really, you were in the mountains, but you were part of a community at the same time. But I believe, this is the best way, to write a book.
Yeah.
So your book, James, it's called Stop and Listen. I know the book, but you'd imagine, is this book about stopping and listening? Do you think we need to stop and listen more? What's the heart of the book?
Well, absolutely. One of the things that's been interesting living here is how many people from around the world come to holiday. And they drop their guard when they come on holiday. So they talk about all sorts of things. And it's become very apparent, and particularly people find it very, very hard in life to stop and listen. And to me, it seems ludicrous, particularly for someone who would call himself a Christian, a follower, if you like, of God, that a father and a child wouldn't speak together. It's quite a crazy situation.
Yeah,
And I've always had this passion that actually Jesus came for people. He didn't come for an institution. And our life becomes very institutional in the urban noise we get. So it's a call to simplicity. It's a call to come back to that core, stop and listen to what he says to you. Finally, he's your dad.
yeah, yeah. Well, I can relate to that because I live in London's West End, in Covent Garden. There are tens of thousands of people walking past my front door every day. It's noisy, it's vibey, it's creative. I love it. But for me, being able to retreat or change gear and slip down to Sicily and Italy, to another home I have, and just, yeah, for the pace of life to change and the noise level to reduce, mostly, it just makes such a difference, doesn't it, to living?
Yeah, it does. And I've tried to do it in a way that's very easy as well. I mean, I've read a number of books over the years, and often they're very well, you can fall asleep by the first chapter with the best will in the world because you're tired, you're busy, you're pressed. So I've done it in very short, snappy things with lots of stories from my own family background. People who found it's not complicated. It's a
Yeah,
decision, but it's not complicated, and that's the idea of it, really, of the heart behind it.
yeah. I think making it like that, James, is really powerful. It's not a difficult thing you're inviting people to do. They just need to decide to do it. And your book is a wonderful resource, to help them to do that. Um, what is your hope, James? Your highest hope, I always describe it as, for the people that read your book. What is it in what way do you hope their lives are transformed?
My real desire is to, and I think it comes out of the last few years we've had, which includes the COVID pandemic and things like that. It's been a very difficult time for many, many people. Things they took for granted are no longer there. Things they used to do, and they no longer know why they do them. And it's to bring them back to a simplicity of life, just to come back to their source reason. I want this to be like a first in a series of books, which I'll do all hopefully with Publish You, if you're still
We will be big and
yeah.
strong.
But the idea is to equip people on the Christian walk just to the back to the simplicity and the fundamentals that mean no matter what happens in life or where you are, actually you're rooted in the right place.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter how things change, you stay with Christ.
So for me, James, just making it personal, it actually doesn't matter if I'm in Sicily with a slower pace of life or in Covent Garden in the busyness and intensity of urban living. I can enjoy a rootedness and a centeredness in both of those places.
Absolutely. And many of the stories that come out of it are based on very busy moments in people's lives.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is, in fact, it's a lad he had an autistic child, and he said, "God, how can I communicate you to someone who doesn't speak, who doesn't have any verbal ability?" And
Yeah.
at that moment, his wife turned over in bed because it was the middle of the night, and she put her arm around him. Now, she never does this normally. And he said at that moment, something happened inside of him. It brought healing, it brought understanding, it brought a closure on quite a long journey he'd been on. But it was also God speaking, saying, I do not need words. He lives in one of the biggest cities in Europe in a very pressured job. And it was the middle of the night. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And sometimes that's what we all really need, isn't it? The sense that somebody's reaching out and putting an arm around us.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's physical. I had some sad news yesterday. A dear friend of mine died. And I messaged somebody and they immediately phoned me. And even though it was a phone call, I felt they were reaching out and putting an arm around me.
Yeah.
And it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Well, James, I'm thrilled about your book. Thrilled. And for all the English readers and all the French readers who are going to enjoy it, it's going to be fabulous as you get hold of the copy of this book. It is awesome. So, James, any closing thoughts before I wrap us up today?
Well, I mean, this is not meant to be a plug, but I certainly would like to continue working with you through the whole series. I've actually got 5 or 6 books locked away somewhere in there, and we want to continue to do that. But that discipline of doing it with another group, and I should say, even outside of Publish You, I've kept a number of contacts going on a personal basis with other authors from the Publish You fold. And we're chatting about how it's still going, what the problems are, how we overcome them, which has just been a completely unexpected bonus, which I'm very appreciative of. So yes, I will be back, and maybe another interview sometime later with the second one.
Absolutely, I look forward to that very much. James, thank you for being with us today, and thank you all for listening to the Publish You podcast, featuring the stories of real-life authors from around the world. If you're interested in becoming an author like James, do please visit our website, www.publishyou.com, publishyou.com. And if you like this broadcast, make sure you subscribe for more. Goodbye for now.